Crystal Craven, a singer, a songwriter, and a worship leader who is passionate about sharing what God inspires. And this is your weekly devotional. All right, we are moving on to another miracle that Jesus performed, and we'll be reading out of Luke 9:38 through 43. And it says, "And behold, a man from the crowd cried out, 'Teacher, I beg you to look at my son, for he is my only child. And behold, a spirit seizes him, and he suddenly cries out. It convulses him so that he foams at the mouth and shatters him, and will hardly leave him. And I begged your disciples to cast it out, but they could not.' Jesus answered, 'O faithless and twisted generation, how long am I to be with you and bear with you? Bring your son here.' While he was coming, the demon threw him to the ground and convulsed him. But Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit and healed the boy and gave him back to his father. And all were astonished at the majesty of God." Now, in this account in Luke of Jesus healing this demon-possessed boy, there are a couple of things that are the exact same details, even across all the recorded accounts of this event in the different books of the gospel. And those exact details are that what Jesus had responded to the man by saying, "Oh, faithless and twisted generation," and the fact that Jesus healed the boy. Now, when this man had told Jesus that he had first tried having his disciples heal his son and that they couldn't, Jesus' response with, "Oh, faithless and twisted generation, how long am I to be with you and bear with you?" Now, this may seem like a really harsh response and, would appear as though it was only in relation to his own disciples' inability to cast out this demon. But in Mark 9, it gives a little more detail here. In verses 20 through 24, we also read here, it says, "And they brought the boy to him, and when the spirit saw him, immediately it convulsed the boy, and he fell on the ground and rolled about, foaming at the mouth. And Jesus asked his father, 'How long has this been happening to him?' And he said, 'From childhood, and it has often cast him into fire and into water to destroy him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us.' And Jesus said to him, 'If you can, all things are possible for one who believes.' Immediately the father of the child cried out and said, 'I believe, help my unbelief.'" So here we see that this father who had brought his only child to Jesus after a failed attempt at the hands of his own disciples, he had doubts. Now, from a human standpoint, this does seem reasonable, right? Especially since the father had undoubtedly tried to seek help elsewhere even before the disciples, but these attempts just kept failing. And so by the time he came to Jesus, he had doubts. Yet, when all attempts of the world to heal have failed us, it doesn't even remotely reflect God's ability to do as he wills. As human beings, though, we do tend to be a doubtful bunch, don't we? So it is no surprise that Jesus spoke the harsh truth that they were a faithless and twisted generation. And even though Jesus included the rhetorical questions of how long he was to be with and bear with them, the fact remains that he was there and he did bear with them through their weaknesses, and he healed the boy. He remained faithful even when they were faithless, because he could not deny himself. Now, here's some more paralleled insight, because it is easy to chalk up the fact that the disciples just, he just didn't have enough faith to cast out the demon from the boy. That's why they failed at it. But the account of this event in the Gospel of Mark gives us even more insight into this. It says, "And when Jesus saw that a crowd came running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, You mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again. And after crying out and convulsing him terribly, it came out. And the boy was like a corpse, so that most of them said, he is dead. But when Jesus took him from the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. And when he entered the house, the disciples asked him privately, why could we not cast it out? And he said to them, this kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer and fasting. Now, these verses in Mark, about this kind of demon that can't be driven out by anything other than by prayer and fasting. It's been widely interpreted by different people, but what we do know is that Jesus himself made it a habit to pray and to fast regularly during his time here on earth. And he was always able to cast out any demon at any time. So who knows, maybe the Holy Spirit had prompted Jesus to fast and pray leading up to that event, knowing that it would be needed. But we can only take what we have in the Word, and regardless of that, we can still follow the lead of Jesus in this and be in tune with the Holy Spirit, being obedient in prayer and in the times of fasting as we're prompted to. So, if we're doing that, we know that whatever situation that we happen to find ourselves, whether it's facing a demon-possessed person or not, we will know that we're ready and we're equipped to be used by the Lord. And one final note is, if you find that you have doubt in your own heart as you're seeking Jesus, just as the father in this story did, I really want to encourage you to cry out to your God who is faithful and cry out that I believe, but help my unbelief. And know that he who is always faithful will hear you. For blogs, written devotionals, and originally written songs, visit crystalcravenmusic.com. And that's Crystal with a K.